Hello there. It's Helen Harrison from the Empowered Marriage Podcast. And I'm not really sure where I'm meant to be looking, so I'm going to come down here and look at you, Dawn. So for those of you listening, you would have noticed that for a long time, it's been me yakking on. And I've just reached a place in the empowered marriage journey where I want to interview people. And I want to interview people who inspire me, who I just have such enormous respect for. So the first person I wanted to invite into the Empowered Marriage Podcast is Dawn. And so Dawn Parker-Jones, she is a dear friend of mine, but she is also someone who I am just very grateful to be part of her life, because she takes on these challenges and I watch her as she does it with such grace and such dignity, and I'm just so inspired. And I think my listeners need to hear about how you do life, how you do your marriage, and how you do you. So I want to welcome you, Dawn.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Helen. It is absolutely a pleasure to be here with you today.
I'm so excited that you agreed. So the Empowered Marriage Podcast is all about living an empowered life in an empowered marriage. But I've put a different angle on it in this season, which is season 4. So this is podcast, I wrote it down, number 93, where we are looking at change, and change starts with you. So let me introduce Dawn a little bit more. She is a business owner. You've got a beautiful salon. It's personal, where you are. Actually, can you tell me about what you do? It's personal and about your life. I think it's so much better. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Thanks. Thanks so much for that. Yes, I am a businesswoman, and the beautiful salon that we do have here is called It's Personal Boutique Hair Lounge. Part of me is just wanting to always make people, specifically women, feel just absolutely beautiful, because whoever we are truly beautiful. We just need that time sometimes to shine. And in a lot of hair salons out there can obviously be a busyness to the salon, and I just wanted to take that busyness away and make it always about the client that's with us in the salon individually. So that's really my business in a little nutshell.
Beautiful. And what about you in life? You're married?
Yes, I am married. I'm very happily married, I may say, to my beautiful husband, Terry Parker-Jones. And we have 2 gorgeous children together. We've traveled. We've traveled from the UK via New Zealand, which was a good 14-year stop. We had our second son, and then on to Australia 10 years ago, prior to opening up our beautiful business together. So we've certainly had some very adventurous times ahead with us, each of us. But there's so much fun out there to be had, and we are a true couple that go for fun as well.
Yeah,
so yeah,
beautiful. And that is a big motivator of getting you on here, because I think it was about 4 years ago, and this is where I would like to go, because I think what people are going to learn from you, from what you had to overcome, it's a massive adversity and a challenge as an individual, as a couple, and as a family. So can you just take the listeners back to 4 years ago, when in a heartbeat your life as you knew it changed forever?
It did, Helen. It's quite funny, just you even introducing it like that. I still get a lump in my throat and probably little sweaty palms even to today. Something that I have absolute adoration, but at the same time, there were heartache moments that brought us to where we are today. So just to enlighten everybody on what we're talking about here, I was blessed with 2 beautiful boys, 2 gorgeous children in our lives, Brandon and Brooklyn. Brandon would be 24 and Brooklyn 22. 4 years ago, I was informed by my husband, actually, I just returned back from a trip, that our eldest son, Brandon, had made such a life-changing commitment, and that was no longer to be Brandon, no longer to be Mal, but chose to be Lily, to be transgender, and to be a beautiful female. Now, for some people out there, this may not be a challenge of any sorts, but to me, my world absolutely just spun. It spun so fast. The emotion that it's actually running through me right now, that I can go back to the moment.
Yes. Well, you would have gone into shock, Dawn.
I did. The first thing was grief.
Yeah.
It was on Mother's Day as well. So it's a day that I believe that day will never leave me. And now they become beautiful days. They're days of enlightenment and just so much gratitude. When we had our beautiful little children, as we do to this day, always wanted our children to be heard and to have their voice. To be true is, I think, the biggest lesson I ever wanted to teach my children was to be true to yourself. And by being true to yourself is to be kind to yourself. There is nobody else in this world that you have to show up for any more than it is for yourself. Yes. And I felt that both Terry and I had really achieved what we set out for with our children. And that is, they listen to us and they are honoring themselves with whom they wish to be and want and chose to be. But with that, Helen, there is obviously grief. And
can I ask you, Dawn, how did you, in those early weeks and months, work through and heal and be with that grief, that adversity? I mean, like I said, it's an adversity of an extreme kind.
Absolutely.
What did you find helpful?
First thing I found helpful was that I had the strongest person standing right beside me, and that was my husband.
Yes.
And
I've gone all goosebumpy.
I absolutely, to this day, have that strength in him in whatever I choose to do. But he really, really stood ground and held me up. Yeah. Out of the two of us, one would have imagined that Terry, being a very man's man, would have taken this very hard. He showed strength from where where he pulled this from. But I actually crumbled. I actually let go, and never to be disapproval of my beautiful daughter, but the emotion that came through inside, and my heart just broke, absolutely broke. I had to grieve the loss of beautiful Brandon before I could welcome our gorgeous Lily. So Terry just knew that for me, things were just getting really quite challenging. I didn't sleep for days. Even in the midst of that, was still running a very new business. The business is 6.5 years old, so it would have been in its second year, just over. So very challenging times for businesses at that early stage onset. So my beautiful husband, I'd come home and he would have just been there to listen, to just whatever it was, just my pure support. He, bless him, surprised me with a night in a hotel just to give me some break from going home to the same vision every single night. And it was basically just so that I could submerge in a deep bath and just relax and just be me. And then he brought me back off to the salon the next day, just so I had that night's break of just purely being myself, which just, I never forget moments like that. But very hard as well. The week after, Lily also then decided to leave home. So not only did she say that she was changing her gender, she also left home. And to us beautiful mums, we worked so hard on motherhood. And at 20, I know they're ready to leave home, but are we as mums often ready to let them leave home? And there was two big double whammies coming.
That's right. It wasn't that you got to sort of get your breath a bit, because I know my son's just left home a couple of weeks ago, and I know the grief and the loss and the emotions, and I've been prepared. So yes, something what is beautiful that I'm hearing is, I think a big thing that I see working with couples is the expectation that we have on our partner. But it feels like Terry just held the space and let you do what you needed to do. There was no expectation.
You know, you know when you've picked the right one.
Yes.
Because honestly, there was no holding back from me. I absolutely was my true self, as I've allowed and really, really wanted our children to be themselves. That's how we live as well for Terry and I. So there certainly wasn't any holding back. I was absolutely, I had a meltdown, Helen. I absolutely went into a breakdown, I think, really, a very small breakdown. But I say very small, it was a breakdown at the end of the day. Without beautiful friends like yourself, my beautiful husband, our children, Lily and Brooklyn, you know, Lily often said to me, Mum, you're incredible. There's so many mums have gone through this and unfortunately don't have this kind of relationship with their child afterwards.
That's right.
It was not optional, Helen.
No.
You know,
you are the shining example of unconditional love. There's no conditions. I love you. Yeah, absolutely. But also you as a couple, because I think that is the biggest thing that I see is when we have demands and expectations on our partners, and particularly it was a crisis. It was something that the two of you individually had to process. But then also, how do you come back together from that? Because it changes you. And so how did you come back from that as a couple?
Helen, I think when somebody has shown that you are literally their world, and that is the only way I can describe how Terry was with me. There was nothing more that he could have offered because he did everything. And that is not me just gloating and making things up. And it wasn't just, there was no purchasing of things as such. It was just, he was there all the time for me, for my needs, for my emotion. Nothing was too silly. If I walked in and cried, I wasn't told to stop crying. You know, he just he heard me, and being heard, oh my God, makes my world. And it makes our world. We really do listen to each other.
And would you agree then that, yes, it's the title of communication, but it's being able to be held literally when you have strong emotions, because it's not wrong or right. It's so healthy to do what you were doing, but he held it, not wanting to change it.
And he wasn't, I did ask him at the time, how is he coping with this? Knowing how I was coping with it. And for him, he just wanted to help me through it. And I think by him watching me heal was helping him heal. And I think we got through some really very challenging times.
Extremely.
And today, Helen, it would be like there's, you know, we always bless our beautiful Brandon, but today it's like Lily's been with us forever.
Wow.
You know, it's just the way that Brooklyn treats his sister now and treats his daughter now. And Terry has children in the other in England, and they honor Lily too. You know, in fact, it was just so beautiful to see how the younger generation really take this on board as it's not a problem, you know. So it's a great lesson to us classified as the maturer ones. You know, and I was the one out of all of us that really had the grief. But I think also being a mother, there's an unconditional umbilical cord attachment.
Totally.
You know? I remember Brandon being born, and a lady popped her head into the ward, and she said to me, enjoy your child. You have them on loan for 20 years. Do what you will for 20 years and do your best and trust and let go.
Isn't that true? I have to agree with you.
20 years later, everything in my world changed with my firstborn. So
wow,
she must have seen something that I didn't.
So if somebody's listening to this And they're going through some change. I mean, any type of change often is a loss. And it's putting strain on the relationship, it's putting strain on them. What would be your couple of takeaways for them that could help them through this period of time?
One day at a time, Helen. One day at a time.
Like
I absolutely could not have ever seen this being part.
Yes.
But once I was in it, I couldn't see 2 days, 3 days.
No.
I could just about see through that day. And
Yes.
working in business, we all can put on our smile because we're good at.
Yes.
We're great actresses
Yes.
or actors when we're in business at times.
Yes.
But as soon as I'd get into the car or any space on my own, my heart would melt and I basically would be back into mush again. So for me to get through a day maybe without tears was another measurement of how I'm starting to cope with things. And I believe another thing is be kind to yourself, because I constantly,
excuse me.
That's okay. I constantly would look at others and think they're so lucky they're not going through this. But there's always somebody going through something. And I think just be kind to yourself and focus on your own journey.
You would see that as a hairdressing, you know, working with people constantly. I know, they cop it. So you would see that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So yeah, be kind to yourself, take one day at a time, and don't worry about what other people's going on in their lives. It's what's going on.
I love it. I love it. So we're just about out of time. If I was to ask you what it means to be an empowered individual, how would you answer that? What is it to you?
Helen, for me, this is how I live.
Yes.
I absolutely every day want to do something that takes me to a bit of a risque feeling.
Yes.
I want to always feel alive personally.
Yes.
Because if we don't grow, unfortunately, the opposite to that is usually dying, as they say. Something inside us is not growing, well, then we're losing. So I believe that often take yourself to that limit of where you feel that fear. And the fear to me is taking me to my empower place, I think. It's given me that growth.
So living out of your comfort zone.
Always.
Yes.
I want to be out of my comfort zone. Occasionally, trust me, I have to be kind to myself and say, today is a Be Kind to Dawn day. And that means I can just relax and chill. And usually my choice for that is with my husband.
Yes.
But other than that, I always want to take it that little bit more, just push the bar that little bit more, because that way I know that the next day I've gone that little bit further.
Beautiful. Well, that's how you grow, isn't it?
Yeah, 1% change every day, 1% change in yourself is a good way of measuring your growth.
I like that. I haven't heard of that.
It doesn't have to be.
Yes.
Because if we set big tasks, often we don't do them.
Yes, that's right.
If we set 1% change in ourselves,
yes,
every day we can definitely do that.
Nice. I like
without
that.
setting yourself up to fail. Yeah.
Yes. Little steps in the direction that is of value to you, which is growth and learning.
Yeah, it is.
Beautiful. Look, I could keep going, but I'm going to keep to a time. I want to thank you so much. I think
thank you, Helen.
Particularly something so close and raw, because it's a big topic. You just don't know who it's going to touch. So I sincerely
I hope it does help somebody.
Yes, totally. And that through the adversity, particularly as an individual, as a couple, it feels like, and what I see is you're even stronger than ever.
Yeah. I thank Lily. I have so much to thank Lily for.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It made me grow more than 1% that day.
She's an incredibly brave individual
She's a
to
gorgeous.
have the courage
As is-
and the guts, and due to her parents, she could listen to that voice inside and do what she needed for her. Wow.
She was only 20. She had many years in front of her.
Incredible. Huge strength. Yeah, to listen to her own calling. Yeah, it's massive. Yeah. Anyway, on that note, we better finish up. And thank you to all of you listening. I'm not sure where I'm meant to look, but thank you all for listening to The Empowered Marriage. There will be details on Power of Change, because I have a blog, and also details in the show notes if you want to connect with Dawn. Particularly, it's personal in her beautiful business. And so until next time, we will see you on The Empowered Marriage. See ya.
Thanks.
See you, Dawn.
Bye.